Hey, this is Mike Furtis with the Movie Guys. My wife, Mary Jane, we're here every week, but we are so super blessed to be here. And as a part of the program, Teen View Magazine and Shocker Studios helping us out and doing a part of this. So we got some guests to talk about this very special feature. Go ahead and introduce yourselves. Let's start with the gentleman.
My name is Trey Murphy. I'm with Teen View Magazine.
Okay.
My name is Brittany Malvell. I'm with Teen View Magazine.
My name's Hennessy Thomas. I'm with Teen View Magazine.
What's your name?
Hennessy.
Oh, I thought you said Tennessee. That's going, all right. Yes. And
Mary Jane.
Mary Jane Furtis, that's my wife. It's important you put the emphasis on the Furtis part. So my name's Mike Furtis again. This is going to be a little bit more serious discussion, and I wanted this to be a roundtable. What happened, I guess it's been a month or so ago now that we started talking to Teen View and Marquise, who's actually in the room back behind the camera, and some other folks, and we were talking about what we wanted to do with the Movie Guys. And one of the things I said is I want it to be more like a roundtable discussion, and as we can have guests come in, let's bring guests in. And so we started talking about series on Netflix, and we were meeting, and I said, okay, a couple of series I would like to do is Longmire and Lost in Space, and we'll do those eventually. But those are movies that we will want people to watch as well from a teen or a youth perspective to give us their perspective. But then I asked, what are some things that you all would like to review? And the two things that came up was Everything Sucks, which I really want to do in the future. But the other one was 13 Reasons Why. I had never heard of these two shows. And 13 Reasons Why, it really resonated and hit home. This will be just a kind of a discussion between us, and I'll share some things that a lot of the viewers may know, they may not know. I was abused as a child. And in every way imaginable, I was abused. And as a result of that, some of the things that I think the reason this hit home for me, I was not bullied, I was a bully. And I wrote an article some time ago, Confessions of a Bully, and Can I Be Forgiven? And I have a lot of friends that are gay, a lot of friends that come from backgrounds and lifestyles. Some of them were just small, but they were bullied, and they have told me numerous times that how much that article helped them and how much they appreciated doing that. I also, this is why it's not such a comedic review in any regard, I also attempted suicide 3 times. You can see all the scars on my hand there? Do you see all those on my knuckles and stuff? Do you see them? Mm-hmm. Okay, I've got witness over here. I've got scars from where I attempted suicide 3 different times. And there's a universal component about lives of a young person that when things go bad, they really go bad. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more. But I could resonate with the themes, not so much as a victim of bullying, which the film touches on quite heavily, but as a bully, thinking about the impact that I had on people, it's really kind of sad to think about. So I saw this, and I didn't cry, but it's been 2 weeks since I saw the entire series. I saw all 13 episodes over the course of about 3 days. They're about an hour per episode. We watched them. They've just started season 2. It's a Netflix show. They just started season 2. And without giving too much of it away, season 2 is a continuation of the first season. It's not a new storyline. It's a continuation of the trial that takes place from what happens in episode or season 1. And so that's some of my background. And what I want to do is just to talk briefly about the TV show, but then I wanted to really make time to talk about the themes. And if we go too long, we're trying to stick to about 30 minutes, we will gladly do a second episode on this because the themes that we see in today's world. Anybody here familiar with any school shootings recently? Mm-hmm. Just last week, we had 2. Anybody here familiar with suicide? Teen youth groups or teen groups recently? We see them all the time. I would venture to say that probably each person at this table knows someone who has either committed suicide or attempted suicide. Is that a fair assessment? 13 Reasons Why, especially for an older generation like myself, goes into detail. Now, there's a documentary that goes with each of the seasons, and it's titled Beyond 13 Reasons Why. Odds are most people here at this table, if anyone at this table, have seen those besides myself. Have anybody here seen those episodes, Beyond 13 Reasons? Anybody in our audience out here? You've got to see it. Because what it is, Beyond 13 Reasons is an explanation of psychologists and film writers as to what the intent was and why they made the show like they made it. So many times we'll see a series or a movie and we don't think about what the intent was. This show is serious enough that we need to think about what the intent was. Let's start over here. We'll start with the lady this time. Tell us what you thought, your impressions of 13 Reasons Why and what you thought from the show.
Well, when I first heard about 13 Reasons Why, I didn't want to watch it because I was just kind of nervous to what it was about. I didn't know, like, if I could personally handle watching it because of personal experiences with, like suicide, depression, and bullying. And I didn't know if I was, like, strong enough to be able to watch that without, like, getting upset. So for a while I waited, and I watched, like, the first episode a little bit, and I had to stop. And then once I started watching more of the season, I don't know, I think it was really powerful. Like, it let people see what goes through people's mind who, like, they just make a mistake and everything can just fall apart.
And sometimes those mistakes are just so innocent and never intended.
Yeah.
Probably give a premise about what the show's about, and again, it's not really a spoiler because it's what the show is about. The premise is that this young lady, high school student, has committed suicide. And what she has done is she has left after her suicide, she has left a series of tape recordings that bring out 13 people as to why she did what she did. And so the show is filled with flashbacks, memories, as well as present-day events of what's going on. And so that's the premise from the get-go, is this high school student has committed suicide. But yet we see that student all throughout the series. Catherine Langford plays the part of Hannah, does a phenomenal job in that, but she plays that part. And that's the storyline. It is about suicide, and it is about bullying. It's one of those shows that, I would normally say I would not recommend a young child see this, but I think if you're 10, 11, 12 years old and bullying's already taken place, yeah, I would recommend that with parental supervision that you watch it and you talk about the themes. But we had not given a definition or a description of what the show's about, but it's important to know that. Other things, I'm sorry about that. Other things that you got out of it, though.
I didn't really feel comfortable with watching the last episode, though, because personally, like, I know a lot of friends who, like, cut themselves, and I've had experience with, like, suicide attempts and stuff, and, like, it's just, I personally didn't like that it was so graphic, because people who do, like, self-harm and have suicidal thoughts, that was very triggering.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know.
We're going to talk about that when we talk
It,
about
like,
because of
triggers some people really bad. Like, it triggered me, and I had to stop watching the episode because it, like, I felt like I could have, like, relapsed or had like an episode. So I didn't really like the last episode as much, but it needed to be seen and talked about.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that because in Beyond 13 Reasons, they talk about the very graphic nature, and it may be the most graphic suicide that I've seen portrayed on screen, whether it be on television or movies as well. Good job. Mary Jane?
Well, obviously, I'm not with the generation that's affected now, but I taught school for 39 years, and the last 10 years I taught in middle school. I taught 8th graders, and I could see some of this, the bullying going on, and if I saw any, I didn't see it in my classroom. I didn't allow that. I didn't allow language in my room. You come in, you be respectful of what you do outside. I have no control over. I have control over what's here. But it was hard for me to watch. It was painful because I sat there and I thought, okay, have I let kids slide by, not knowing what was going on? And I know kids come to school from brokenness at home. I know that. And that was one reason that I taught in public school, because I felt like public schools need teachers who care for them and who are concerned about them. And so it made me feel sort of bad that maybe, okay, which kids did I let slide by, that I didn't really take that extra effort to try to help them, or just to say a kind word. I know sometimes just a smile and a kind word goes a long way. at school, and when you don't know what kids are coming to school with, the baggage they bring from home. And I couldn't watch the suicide. I didn't watch it. I told Mike he was watching. I said, I can't watch that. So I closed my eyes during that scene. I couldn't handle it. To me, it's very brutally honest about what's going on in society today with our teenagers. And it saddens me to think that, the thing maybe with middle schoolers so much that I saw was the cell phones, taking pictures, passing pictures around and making snide remarks about the person in the picture, and saying hurtful things about them. And to me, that's a really big problem. Social media is more of a detriment, I think, to our society today than it is a help.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some of the themes and what we can learn
Yeah.
from it later on. So let's not go too much into that right now.
I know, but that just,
Yeah. We're going to take a break right now. We'll be right back in a moment. And I want to thank you for watching. This is a tough subject, but we'll be right back again. The movie guys with Wichita Teen View Magazine and Shocker Studios. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Mike Furchess and our roundtable back with you as we continue the discussion about 13 Reasons Why and that particular show. It's a very thought-provoking, emotional series that I am personally encouraging everyone to watch. But we want to continue the thoughts about the show and start over here. Tell us again your name and your thoughts about the show.
My name is Brittany. When I first started watching the show, I couldn't get enough of it for some reason. And when I started watching it, like the last episode, like they both said they couldn't watch the suicide. And I just felt that some way, like I didn't want people feeling like there's always another answer than suicide. So I didn't want them to feel like suicide was the answer.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted something in the
Wanted
show
something,
to help,
yeah.
just to aware other people that there's something else other they can do.
One of the unique things they did, how many of y'all noticed that before every episode, they say if you have any issues, you can contact 13 Reasons Why. I think it was .org. I'm not positive. Does anybody remember the URL for that? 13reasonswhy.org or something. And so that's there, but it's still not enough, is it?
No. And I don't feel like they showed it throughout the movie. They
Yeah.
just showed the bullying and
Yeah. And that's why beyond 13 Reasons, that the first season is only about 24, 25 minutes. That's why I think that people need to watch that, because if you watch just the series, and that was a controversy. Some of the research actually showed that suicide rates among teens and youth went up from individuals who watched that show. And I don't think that was the intent of the makers of the show, but you're exactly right. You want more, even though from the very first episode, you know that Maggie's going to off herself. You know that, but then still, yet when it comes time to do it, I watched, but I eventually did turn my head. It's like this is too graphic. It's too real. So, anything? What else would you say? Because I agree with you. They needed more.
it was a good movie overall.
Yeah.
And I just felt like they should have put more awareness out there
Okay.
for people to get help.
And I think we probably would all agree that if someone's watching that and they're having difficulty with the storyline, get help. Like I said, I attempted suicide 3 times, and I have a number of friends. I hate the terminology they were successful at suicide, because there's nothing successful about it. But I have a number of friends that I've written about, including my best friend that committed suicide. And get the help. Go, your turn.
Okay.
I could talk forever on this.
So when I first saw 13 Reasons Why or heard about it, I didn't want to watch it because honestly, at first I was like, it's just another show. It's not really I thought it was really stupid. But then my friend, I didn't really know she she watched those shows, but she did, and she said that she liked it, and I was like, oh, since she liked it, I'll probably watch it. So I started watching it, and the thing is, like, it was like so real. Like it felt like usually some shows you watch, it's not like real, like it's still fake, and like that won't really happen ever. But this show, it felt so real. It happens actually in teen lives, and I feel like it's kind of just sad how like teens in our like generation are actually being treated, and actually to children, actually children too, because I was actually scrolling through Instagram, and I saw that this 8-year-old actually committed suicide, and I was just like surprised that even an 8-year-old would have to go through bullying, and then just think about committing suicide. Like when I was in 8, I was thinking about candy canes and raindrops, and I don't even know what I was thinking about.
You weren't thinking about offing yourself.
Yeah, I didn't think about committing suicide. It was just surprising to me. So yeah, that's what like, yeah.
Right? How many of y'all think that the show was very realistic as to how it is in school today?
Okay, so it's realistic to what some people have to go through, but it's not as often as you think in school. Because when you go to school, like, once you get in high school, bullying is really not a major thing that you have to deal with. You have to deal with social media, like maybe cyberbullying, but once you get in high school, everyone's worried about getting to college,
Yeah.
you know? So it's more of a thing in middle school where you have to deal with those things, because I know it was super big in middle school. Bullying was so bad, cliques were so big. Once you get into high school, those things weren't really happening,
Yeah.
except for like maybe the parties and stuff. But even then, I don't really go to parties and stuff like that. I don't hear about parties. So like, it's realistic in the sense of people go through suicide, people go through these things, people get raped, yes, but like not as often as usual.
Does everybody agree with that? What do y'all
Yeah,
think? You
I
think so
think
too?
middle school's worse than high school.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been to high school yet, so still going. Yeah.
Is that because you just haven't got to that age yet, or you've failed a few times?
Oh, I forgot that age.
No.
Just playing. I failed 3 times in the 8th grade, so the last time I didn't get to go on. And I think I'm hearing what you're saying. I think that kind of depends, though, and I could be wrong. I mean, I'm not in high school anymore. I graduated from college, like, man, years and years ago. My 40th high school reunion is this summer. But for those that are going through it, and I think that's the thing about it, is that for those that are going through it, they maybe can relate more to it than those of us that, are not or have not. Again, I was more like Bryce. And Bryce is the bad, he's the real, from the get-go when they sexed some pictures from the very get-go in the show when he steals the cell phone and starts showing everybody the picture. From there until the very end, this guy Bryce is a-ho. And I was actually more like Bryce. And for me, my faith played a major role in my transformation. I am not who I used to be. But I was speaking actually at a church, and one of the guys I used to beat up and throw in lockers walked into the church, and then all of a sudden it was like an epiphany moment. But I think that for those that maybe are going through it, it is a blessing to know that no one here is. But there are obviously those who are. And you talked about social media, and we're going to talk about that more on the next episode, at the role that plays, because the producers, giving a little bit of a tease for the next show, the producers and writers want to give they wanted this to have a strong impact and show that social media and texting has a major impact, more so now than ever. And they give that as a contributor to the suicide rates. So generally though, what's some other thoughts of the show as far as the realism and maybe some of the characters? One of the things that we can touch on a little bit, it's not exactly a teacher, it's a guidance counselor. We see everyone from him to students that are a part of the problem to some extent. Now, we don't have about a minute left. What I will say, whether that's intentional or not, will be something we can talk about on the last program. What we don't want to do is we don't want to do what some of the characters, including some of the teachers in the show, did, and that is to gloss over and not take seriously the things that are giving us maybe some reason to have question. if someone says, I'm tired of living, we might need to take that more seriously and explore a little bit more. So, thanks to you guys. The next show we're doing part 2 of 13 Reasons Why. We'll be talking more so about the impact and how the show can teach and some things that we can learn. I would encourage anyone that watches the show, please, dear God Almighty, watch beyond the reasons as it gives explanation. And I will tell you, it's a graphic, hard-to-watch show, but it's well worth it. Until next time on The Movie Guys, God bless. We'll continue this discussion next time. And we don't have to worry about so much with Netflix about turning off the cell phone, so we won't plug that too much. But check us out next week as we talk about some of the reasons some people do this, some of the things. And I would encourage you to have people go back and watch this and talk about it as a family. God bless you. Take care, and thanks for watching. And thanks especially to our guests from TeamView and the folks here at Shocker Studios. God bless. See you later.
Shoot it straight.